Well, hello there, you LCS fans. I'm Daniel Dragos, your host. I'm going to be joined today by Deficio, Sheepy, and Vitality's Attila. Bam. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you for doing that. That was the
Not as
cringiest-
cool as expected.
In my head, it was so much better.
Imagine like the 70s game show music playing in the background. And it's just great. It's perfect. I've introduced the contestants on the game show.
Amazing.
First off, let's bring up the road to Madrid in the ULCS Summer Playoffs. And as we do that, Attila, I want to congratulate you one more time. Second place is insane when we look at the middle of the season when you guys were even win-loss record. The way that you guys have turned this around and now secured a bye is just so stunning.
Thank you. I want to thank H2K as well.
Good old H2K saving the day.
They've done so much with those 2 wins. They have
It's true.
upset so many teams. They've accomplished so much overall. So now looking, of course, at this playoffs bracket, what are your guys' immediate thoughts? We've got Vitality and Fnatic with the bye. Do both of these quarterfinals feel like they could be pretty evenly matched to me? All of these teams have had kind of up and down last few weeks. It doesn't feel like there's a clear standout.
I think it's really exciting. Honestly, even though I feel a little bit mixed about it, but watching the 6 teams that we have right now, I think it can be very, very competitive because all of those teams have in common that they showed signs of greatness at some point in the split, and I think it, how it's shaped out to be with Fnatic and Vitality in the front. I think this is something that was anticipated because Vitality has this very unique style of playing very, very aggressive, and I think nobody else has that in Europe, and people were not able to really handle that as well, and I think everybody else is playing this kind of control style, and I think Fnatic is like the best team at doing this. So at least when they had Vipo, now with Reckless in bot lane, I don't know exactly how it shapes out to be, but yeah, I think that those are definitely justified, and all the 4 other teams definitely strong contenders, and yeah. We heard a lot about Upset as well, that they think that with better practice they will be, somebody to contend in the playoffs. And I'm really looking forward for everybody of the teams because I think everyone will have this kind of
They will
mindset.
definitely all say that for sure.
Exactly.
I'm very glad we had the tiebreaker for second place because it meant that the team on form got it and not the team who picked up extra wins during the split. Because right now you guys were not looking like a team was going to fight for second if everything had gone as planned during week 9. Because then Schalke would have beaten H2K, and then suddenly Schalke would sit in second place. But Vitality have just proven they are the better team at the moment. So them actually getting that bye means that our 2 best teams are straight in the semifinal. I think that's a very positive thing.
Were you surprised coming into this week when you guys were in this position to fight for second? Like, was this even anywhere in the back of your head that you guys could potentially get second? Or were you just like, we're probably going to get 4th, maybe 5th. We'll see what we get. We'll take it. Did you expect it all to get this second place finish?
I mean, basically, when we lost against Schalke, we knew we kind of screwed up. We were a bit surprised about the Cali thing, and we got like smashed by them, kind of. And after that, we just accepted that we most likely not get the bye, which is not a big deal for us because we're still players that have low experience, right? Like at least me, Jacktroll, and Jizuke. And I like to play. My team likes to play, so playing quarterfinals isn't a big deal for us. But when we saw H2K, we were like really excited because how we were playing these weeks and the practice, how we had we knew we will take them. Like we didn't care that much about predictions, about how we played in the past. We knew we had what we need to beat the top teams, and we're just looking forward now.
I really like the mentality, by the way, because I know that you guys were previously in the Giants roster together and then it was taken over and you didn't have the LCS experience. So it's really cool to see that this mentality actually still keeps through even like later on, that you guys just really love to play together as a team, play League of Legends, and now that you guys to do it more, it's even better. So maybe that's also why you guys are so free-flowing when you're playing, because you just play the game.
Yeah, I think having good synergy with the team and good environment is pretty underrated, I think. Like sometimes you just get the 5 best players and you expect a super roster like Elements in the past, and then suddenly everything falls, and then
Maybe
sometimes you
also
just get
TSM,
5 cool guys, 5 cool guys that are like, oh, hey, we will LCS, and actually, we actually can play League of Legends, so it's pretty much better in the long run, I think, if you get like 5 guys that get along and can work together.
How does Kikis fit in terms of the synergy and off the rift, like as a person?
I think Kikis was really insane addition actually. He's a veteran as well, which is really great for us. And for example, his playstyle fits really well with us. He's like this confident jungle as well, like Gillies, right? Like they were both like, okay guys,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
take over the early game, yeah. So he just goes in bed. Like the first game we played with him, I think he was Trundle or something or Kindred. Like he just ran at jungle, you know. Like imagine you have 3 players, not 3, 4 players. We all like to play aggressive, and we're like, how do we get the best jungle situation? You go in the jungle and you make sure he doesn't gank us. So he's messing with the jungle and we're all pushing lane. So best ideal scenario for us, right? So if you can crush the enemy like that, it's the best case scenario for us.
I mean, it's a good look for Vitality right now, and just to build further on the mentality point, I've run into you guys a few times over the course of the day, getting drinks in between segments or whatever, and you guys are always very focused on just the game in front of you. Whereas I hear so many teams kind of worried about the implication of other games, really struggling to keep that mentality. I know talking to Jizuke, he's always like, doesn't matter. Yesterday, despite the fact that no matter what happened in this game, there were crazy tiebreakers that he was involved in, he didn't want to know. He's like, I don't care. I have no idea what's going to happen. It does not matter to me. This game and this game right here is the only thing that matters. So it's a really cool mentality. It's good to see it pay off for you guys. But looking at the other teams, you guys have secured your bye. We've got these 2 quarterfinals. Sheepy, you talked about them being relatively close. I do want to look at Schalke versus Splice real quick. Schalke is a team we've gotten to see a lot of over the last few matches. Splice, of course, played a game that had no impact on the standings.
The fly.
The fly. It's coming after you, dude.
Jesus.
Sorry, Sheepy.
It's okay.
It's chosen you today. You have to suffer.
Damn. Diffusion's so happy because it's always catches him. He's like, yes.
I know, it's the first time.
So how do we think these teams scale up? Because Schalke showed a little bit of weakness today. They also showed a lot of strength. And Splice didn't have to show us a lot in their Giants game. So I'm wondering how people were feeling about this matchup. Is there a clear favorite at this point?
I would say Schalke should be the favorites here. Well, they did lose to Vitality, and of course, HK yesterday. Like if you look at the last couple of weeks, they have been a very, very strong team, and there's just a lot of question marks with Splice. The thing is, like we've seen them do well in the late game, but they actually got to late game against Schalke and lost when they played each other just recently. So I think Schalke can kind of match almost anything Splice brings to the table, but at the same time, I think the Splice players are going to feel pretty confident going into a best of 5. I think they have a lot of trust in the veterans they have and the coaching staff. They can actually prepare properly. It's probably going to be a pretty close series, but I will give the edge to Schalke personally.
Would you agree, Sheepy?
Yeah, I think the styles are also a little bit similar. I feel every time we play against Splice ourselves as well, they're building up for like those 2 to 3 team fights that they're having, and Schalke is kind of doing the same. They're really not the team that really heavily snowballs the early game or takes chances there. They're, maybe they give a Dragon or they give a jungle camp. They fall behind like 1 or 2 levels on the jungler. And then they are looking for this one team fight where they're really executing well. And yeah, Schalke has proven that they're really good at this time. I mean, they just showed it again. With Chachi as well and Poppy. Maybe this changes if Chachi gets like a champion like Gnar or
Probably
Rice.
doesn't get it, yeah.
Yeah, I think
Makes them weaker.
I think this is definitely a way to tackle it. Do you see that so too, that the teams are so close, like in the terms of how they're playing?
I don't think Schalke and Splice are that close actually. Like I see Splice as this team that actually in the early game you bend over a little bit and hope it's fine and you can actually come back from that. And basically I think they've been doing that a lot and it worked because teams don't punish that much early game. And I think if Schalke actually adapts to that and just goes even, I think they're just a better team straight up. I think that their carries are better at the moment, and I think like Chachi is doing an amazing job at being a front line, and Bander is doing well as well. I think the Amazing is not doing that well, but he's okay. So I think they have perfectly the edge. I would say like the even matches between G2 and Misfits.
How confident do you think this is? Is this like a 3-1, 3-2, or do you see this like if Schalke figure this out, do you see this being potentially like a 3-0 where Schalke are just 100% the better team?
Say 3-1, 3-0 actually. I actually have faith in
3-1
Schalke.
is pretty likely.
Yeah, 3-1 I think as well.
All right, so Splice not getting the favorite here. The next matchup, G2 versus Misfits. This one is kind of crazy to me because Misfits have been hardcore falling, and it feels like G2 have been struggling as well. And I don't know where to put either of these teams in terms of relative strength because we haven't seen a lot of super clean games from either of these lineups in a while.
Yeah, I would like to throw that again to you. What do you think about Misfit? Because they've been really struggling. In the beginning, especially when we played against them, it felt like they're just all around good, like they're all around us. And now that they are like tipping really off, I really don't see exactly the strong point where I'm saying, okay, this is how they are winning, like over Afari or over mid lane or something like this.
I mean, every time we face Misfits, it's like a really weird experience, right? Like last split, we're on the hype train of Vitality. We get Nash stolen and we lose the game.
Yeah.
Second
Oh,
game,
yeah.
we go like 40 minutes, like crazy team fights, and we actually lose the game. And then in the first game we played against them, it wasn't like actually a really stomp as well, you know. So every time we play against them, even when they win, they don't seem like that this dominant team. I think they're a really structured team. I think they do it all by the book and they do it good. But if you actually choose to punish them by not being proactive, I think it's actually not hard to win against them.
Do you think that's the problem of them, that they're not proactive?
I think they're
right now?
too, you know, like this typical guy that is a good guy that always does the homework and all this stuff. I think this is Misfits, you know, like they are just always doing the right thing. When you see like the book of how to play macro, you know these guys are there because they want to play the proper macro, right? And then you're like, oh, surprise, we're in the bush. So you actually can punish them real hard for that. And for example, when we faced them this week, we picked Draven, we hard snowball bot lane, and they were doing nothing mid and top. My mid laner and my top laner are like, hey guys, we have the push. And I'm like, perfect, we're diving bot once again.
That's my favorite thing, because whenever people bring up playing by the book, that's always the counter, right? Is that the other team has read the book, man. They know what you're going to do. And if you mix things up, so often the teams that pride themselves on these perfect games or these ideal macro styles do not respond well to extra variables like random level 2 ganks or suddenly a Draven pick on the bottom side of the map that they didn't account for.
To me, it just feels like, I mean, the book is closed at the moment for Misfits. They're not actually even looking at what is the potential plays, because they don't have a carry anymore, which is something they have to find. Whenever the bot lane gets targeted, they try and go towards Senkooks, but then his synergy with Maxlaw seems really off. Like that game against you guys, like I was spending a couple of minutes on, you know, PGL here ranting about how Misfits didn't do anything when you guys were just killing bot lane.
Yeah.
And Yuzuka had no flash mid lane for like, you know, 3-4 minutes. And they didn't execute a single gank onto him. And he just kept pushing and roaming. I was like, how is this even possible? And I've seen this now a few times with them, where whenever that bot lane is losing, which is what you guys did, and also what we saw yesterday, it is nothing happens. So they're probably the team who has the most to improve. But we've also seen the highs of the first half of the split. So they're one of those teams that's going to be really hard to 100% predict how they're actually going to play. Because they've tried the bot lane style, didn't work now. They tried the top lane carry style, didn't work at all. That's how the losing streak started. What are they going for next? Do they go, like, I'm not really sure. There's such a question mark, which is why if they play like they've been doing the last few weeks, G2 win this series easy.
All right, well then what do G2 have going for them other than Misfits struggling a lot, apparently?
I mean, they have Perks, first of all, who can actually do really well. And I think they don't rely on a bot lane necessarily to win like Misfits does at the moment. So Wonder, you can also put him on a carry if you want to. Their problem is just, we don't know what's going to happen with Yankas specifically. And if they actually want to win through bot lane, it doesn't seem like an option. So as long as Perks and Wonder are playing well, G2 win the series. But I think Misfits can surprise people if they actually find a solution to the current problems.
So I'm curious, Attila, what you think of Hjarnan right now. You talked about not being able to win through the bottom lane. We had 1 or 2 pretty good games last week, I believe, the 808 Varus. How do you think this guy is playing right now? Jesus called him a brain player as opposed to a hands player, very smart tactical thinker, maybe not the best mechanically. What's your impression?
I mean, when I always face G2, I feel like bot lane is really boring. Nothing happens, you know, like we faced them like yesterday. And we played this matchup of Ezreal, Braum, and Paris Kaiser, and I'm like, all right, my team is winning. I'm just scaling, I guess, you know. And today we faced like we picked ourselves the Ezreal, Braum, and they pick Zyragan, and they do nothing at all as well. So it was like kind of laning phase is his standard player. I think he doesn't punish that much, I'd say. And outside the laning phase, I don't think he's the greatest player. As I did to carry team fights and all this stuff, but I think he's smart player. That's for sure. Like for example, when it was the mage meta, I think he was actually outsmarting most of the AD carries because he knew how to play mages and he knew how to abuse the AD carries that refused to adapt to the meta, right? So I think that's probably Hjarnan, but I think he actually stepped up from the last split to this one.
I agree.
Has looked better overall. So now that we've kind of talked about both teams, G2 versus Misfits, you say Misfits, if they remain the same, G2 should just crush. Is it the same kind of dominance we expect from Schalke over Splice that we talked about previously? How does this actually look? Or is there just too much uncertainty with Misfits to be confident in any kind of result?
A lot of uncertainty. I could see one thing in terms of matchup where G2 will not do anything to Misfits bot lane like Vitality did, which will heavily benefit Misfits, especially if they go for like these, playmaking supports for Mickey, and he can actually maybe leave the lane and go towards mid. So stylistically, I don't think they match up poorly against G2. It's just because they've struggled so much. But I can actually see Misfits do well around bottom side, which could suddenly bring back the first half Misfits, and then they will surprise us.
Interesting overall. Do you guys have any kind of dispute here? Any final thoughts on G2 versus Misfits? Something you think is going to be really the standout factor?
I think if Misfits bot lane doesn't get ahead or don't get to play the game, I think they have no chance. Honestly, at the moment, like I don't think Alfaro is prepared to just, I don't know, grab a Cabochard Lucian performance and just pop off. And I don't think Senkux is playing well the second half of the split. So I think right now either they solve their issues or they don't.
Yeah, I really, just to top on this, like it was really surprising because Alfari was really hyped up as like the split push champion player that just doesn't make mistakes. It's like really, really strong. Everybody who faces him on solo queue says, this guy is really, really strong. Whenever I face him, he's generally like, very lane dominant. But that falls off so hard. Do you have any explanation for that? Was that your feeling as well?
I mean, from my team's perspective, honestly, I think Cabochard is the best top laner in the league right now, by far. No joke. I think this guy, like, he wins every 1v1 in the team. Like, Jizuke has no confidence against Cabochard 1v1. Like, Cabochard is too good 1v1. And I feel like doesn't matter the matchup, he's always ahead. He's been picking Gragas into, for example, Cho'Gath, I think yesterday, and he was pushing the Cho'Gath. Like, it doesn't make sense in my mind, like, and Cabochard is better, and that if you let him space, he's actually insane shot caller. For example, today, he was shot calling on the Schalke game, and like you just saw it, like the Schalke game was pure macro. We didn't really fought that much. We just won because we had better macro, and it was 80% Cabochard. Like, he's really insane right now, so
yeah.
I think if you have a Cabochard, then you're good to go.
I actually
to
remember when we played against you guys and you put like Maza at bot lane and you did this like crazy double strat when we set up for Nashville. Like, we learned so much from you guys, especially over the side lane players, so I think this is like a fair comment right now.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So now looking, depending on how the results go, who would you rather play against in semifinals, Attila?
From the 4 teams, I'd say probably Splice or Misfits. I'd say like G2 and Schalke are not bad at all. Even though we beat them today, like it wasn't these Giga Storm games that we had normally.
This fly is really we normally have it on Euphoria set for some reason.
We haven't named it yet. We need to name it at some point.
Name it like something
but
annoying.
For sure, Splice. I think Splice, like the type of team that they are, against the type of team that we are, I think it will be a quick 3-0 at the moment, if they don't step it up really hard. And if not Splice, I'd say Misfits, because it's a good playstyle for us. But if we face G2 or Schalke, I think we're good as well. Like, the team that can contest us the hardest right now, I think it's Fnatic, because they can put Whippobot. I don't know how Reckless is playing. He doesn't seem like he's performing that well, but he can step it up for playoffs, right? So I think right now, like, we're good against all 4.
So as a final question here to kind of everybody, what is the finals matchup going to be? We'll start with you, Attila, because I think you might have a little bit of a personal stake invested here as you do play for one of the teams. So who do you think is going to be facing each other in the finals?
I mean, I hope this goes like we face Schalke in semifinals, we beat them, then we go right to finals, and then we face Fnatic, and then we get the revenge and beat them. I think that will be the best playoffs I will ever have.
That'd be pretty hype.
Good storyline. Let's write it in the script.
Fnatic will get to the final.
For sure.
I think the Schalke versus Vitality semifinal will go 5 games.
Oh, remember what happens when Schalke goes 5 games against my team?
I mean, Vitality can get it then, but I think it's going to be a pretty close semifinal. I'm not ready to lock Vitality in the final just yet, even though I think they look really good.
Even though they have an extra week of prep,
it's
even though they
definitely a
look
benefit.
Like the strongest team.
I'm fine saying 3-2 Vitality for now, but I'm leaving the door open for the Schalke final.
All right, so you're maybe, but Fnatic is certain, yes?
And they're definitely the heavy favorites.
Cheapy, any alternative interpretations here?
No, I really do think as well, depending on how Schalke is stepping up, because Upset said some promising words, you have to believe. And also, I think, by the way, I think your style is super interesting, but for example, when in this game, Jack Troll played, for example, Thresh, which is like like Pyke, this kind of roaming champion that you want to invade the jungle with, I think that you guys have the tendency to play like aggressive champions because you want to win lane, right? And Kika starts going into the enemy jungle, but I think you're playing like very, very on the edge, And do you think that people will just ban out like really strong counter picks so that the other playstyle, go to 20 minutes, start a team fight, get Nashor, like,
I mean,
is scary?
that will be playing fire against fire, right? And like if you're stepping into our game, then we have the edge. So I'd say it's a really bold statement for other teams to do, like looking at us and just going, let's go 20 minutes, like the LeBlanc-Draven comp. Let's see who stomps the best. But I think we're good with that. Like for example, this game where we played Thresh, I think we could have get really ahead in laning phase, which just didn't play that good, and then Jack Troll didn't want me to block, because he's used to block skill shots for me, so he blocked that Emerald Q, but it's fine.
Nice guy.
But besides that, like I think we have total control of the game, so I'm not really worried if teams try to punish our early aggression, because we normally do it having in consideration what we can lose if we actually play aggressive, right? We don't do it like brainlessly.
And you think that's the best playstyle to play right now compared to the other one where you like go Kaiser Braum first pick and then you go to 20 minutes?
I mean, yesterday it was we played a kind of slow game for me. I think like we chose like
For you, not the rest of the team.
Yeah, my team, I was just chilling bot lane and they're like, hey bot lane, how you doing? And I'm like, I'm farming, guys. I'm farming. Then, we were like topside and we're like, hey, wait, the two inhibs, yeah? Don't go in. And nah, I'm too bored. I didn't have action, so I just went in to the Ezreal. But like, we can play the both sides, I think, perfectly. And I think like, before, our late game was like more of an issue for us, and I think right now we're actually prepared, and our late game calls are really insane. Nobody expects them, so.
Okay.
I'm ready. I like late game insanity. I like the confidence. I like the random desire to go in and fight. That does it for me as a play-by-play caster. But as we close out the final week of the regular season, let's check out some of our LCS big plays. These are brought to you by Acer Predator. All right, first up, Fnatic Superstar Caps has made life tough for many teams this split against Roccat. He was everywhere on his LeBlanc, putting a scare into his playoff opponents.
Leon no flash. They're not TP with Lissandra. TP with from Lissandra. Lissandra's TP behind us. Lissandra's TP.
Lissandra will be hit here. I'm alive. This guy is alive.
Can you have ult? Can you have ult?
No.
I'm chunked.
No flash.
No flash, Kindred.
I need help. Nice. I might be dead. Catch sides.
I'm in trouble. Can you tank for me?
I can't help.
I can't help.
I'm out.
I need help.
I don't have anything.
Can you block E3?
I have now. If you're silent,
Back.
LeBlanc is the one to fall. But we're going to try and turn this one around. He's the key member. Hiku there as well. Caps onto Memento. The flash forward. It's enough! And he gets away with the double. As the chains cleanses away. But the turnaround from Reckless is still there. Caps jumps onto Blanc. Goodbye. He's dominating. Reckless falls.
Attila, you're his playoff opponent. Are you scared by this LeBlanc performance?
Not a little bit. I mean, this guy is good, right? Like, Caps is good. Doesn't matter the champion. So, like, LeBlanc gameplay, maybe it's a bit scarier for other teams. Like, oh, look, this guy's gonna one-shot you. But it's just another assassin, right? You just gotta play around it, and it doesn't matter if it's Caps, Faker, or whoever it can be.
You're supposed to be scared, man. You're too confident. You have to be scared of something.
I mean, so Vitality, maybe not scared of it, but I mean, so much credit. This guy is also doing most of the shot calling in this clip we're seeing.
Yeah.
While he's playing the assassin who's winning you the fight. And the last thing he actually did was what stood out the most to me is how much he's thinking about what's going to happen next is after he jumps back to his clone, he's like, block the Ezreal E. Because he thinks there's a chance Ezreal will E over the wall, and he's already calling for someone to go step in and block it. Now, Ezreal didn't do it, but just the call right there, which potentially can save his life. Like, he's doing all that while also then executing mechanically. Like, to me, that is stand out. That is not just him sitting silent doing this.
Thinking one step ahead. All right, well, next in our match of the week, Vitality and Attila. The man himself completely destroyed Misfits Gaming. Turns out Hansama is not the only 80 carry that can bust out the Draven.
It's down here once again. We said we wanted to see Misfits play around that bottom lane. It's been all Vitality. Bloodthirster completed on Attila. We're only 11 minutes into this game, and already Vitality have a monumental lead down towards this bottom side, and how much this game matters for them as well. If they lose here, they are guaranteed only 5th spot. They can't get better than that, but they're trying to set their sights just a little bit higher as they set their sights on Mickey. Hansama, the next target. The jump away, the stopwatch. Hansama, you're not going to survive for long! A double kill. Jizuke caught out in the river here as well.
I'm here in mid. We can fight them, no? They're engaging.
I'm coming.
We can fight it. I'm on that carry.
Akali has stacks.
Protect Driven, protect Driven, protect Driven.
Akali.
We can go in.
I can go.
We are going home. Gone Varus. Go more. Trash.
Choka.
Go backline. Protect Driven. Kill Seju. Kill Seju. Don't forget. Go Nash. Together.
Wait, we can
Nash.
end.
No, go Nash.
Minions, go Nash.
So, before I hear from Attila on this one, Sheepy, I gotta ask, is this the most disrespectful thing you can do to a man, is pick his signature pick and absolutely smash his team with it? Is this the most disrespectful move possible in competitive League of Legends?
I think so. Just imagine, you're like known for a champion, you just take it, you know? Now the question is, who's the better Draven, right?
I mean, if I get to finals, then I am, right?
That's how it works.
How did you feel about picking Draven when you knew that it was the right choice to lock it in? Were you smiling just a little bit knowing that it was Hans champion?
I actually smiled when they ban MF. I thought they will ban Draven, I don't know why. And they ban MF and I'm like, alright, Draven time, baby. So I just got really happy to pull it out and it turned out to be actually a really good pick, so.
Yeah, it worked extremely well for the team. Well, you guys did not stop there. Vitality didn't stop whatsoever. Tonight they completed a massive turnaround by securing second place with none other than the Italian Stallion delivering the knockout blow to G2 Esports.
Deficio, Vitality have got an 8k gold lead. They're sieging multiple lanes.
Let's see. Can they get onto Attila and maybe take him down in time? I don't think so. He actually has Hexdringer.
All right, keep converting this time round. Interrupted by the quickness. A lot of damage coming down, and the grand entrance will land. Gets a knockup, but Hjarnen's already got himself 2 kills. Jizuke's looking for one dead. That's Saya. That's Hjarnen dead as well. Now Jizuke's managed to get inside the base, and Attila is simply untouched. He's simply unkilled, and he's looking for Perks. Perks goes golden and will stay alive a few seconds longer before Attila will take him out. Wonder is the last man standing.
Look at top. They have to go top eventually.
I'm looking at
They're getting on Poppy.
Just fight them.
I can go away.
Look.
Yes.
Don't go, guys.
Speed for us. Zoe,
Zoe?
can you get Zoe?
Yeah, we can end. Don't die, Jizuke, don't die.
It's fine. No. Oh, I'm not.
Jizuke! What? It's okay.
We're going Madrid, baby!
End game.
Get triggered.
It's fine. I'm fine. Oh, I'm dead.
Right shot calling over.
Look! I love it. I love the energy when you guys are winning and you guys win fights. I know the comms are usually like pretty disciplined until a fight opens up, and then the second the fight opens up, someone on your team always has to start shouting. Whether it's the smite, whether it's someone killing an carry, everyone just goes nuts in an instant.
And Caboshot is just calm.
Yeah, Caboshot is just
They're
like
engaging,
overlooking.
yeah, on Poppy right now, and then Jizuke's like, look! And then bam, smacks in. Like, that's some synergy right there.
And it worked. I was super skeptical about this draft today. I saw one damage threat in Ezreal, but you got the double tier build, you got the pretty much full AP Galio.
Got the Poppy, man.
And
That's
all
all
it
they
took
needed.
was one mistake from the carry and the late game on the side of G2, Hjarnen.
I mean, that was actually a pretty big one, but Jizuke
Yes.
landed a pretty insane engage.
Definitely. Very, very insane. Good to see overall. Congrats again on second place, Attila. Cool to see how you earned it as well with some unique picks coming out. Ones that were quoted as a accident. Looked a little practice to me on the old Poppy, but I guess we'll find out. Now, that was all from us here today in the regular season. Thank you so much for watching and joining us over these 9 weeks plus. And remember, if you missed any of the action today, you can watch our rebroadcast after the final game in the NA or in the NALCS. Here in the EULCS, we're going to be back next Friday for the start of playoffs in summer. Ooh, I'm out of energy, folks. We're done, so we'll call it there. Thank you so much for watching.
Bring back
We'll
Shocks.
see you guys next week. Thank you, Martin. Thank you. I appreciate your support.